talk a little bit about the Smart Cities and blog project, and I was invited by Tom Vander Ark to write a blog around innovation leadership. I'm going to give you some of the highlights of some of the things that I've mentioned in the blog. To give you a little bit of idea, I've been working with school districts for 30 years all over the country around leadership at all levels, from school boards to superintendents to teachers to principals, etc. And what I've been discovering over the time, and especially lately, as I just wrote a book around this leadership, is that we're in a kind of a tension key point in education right now. We're all talking, and the world is moving towards innovation, and innovation is the key. But at the same time, we're putting a lot of pressure on districts, especially the urban ones, around accountability and compliance. The only problem that I see in this is these two worlds are working against each other when they could actually work in concert. Because we need the innovation is really going to get the results for America, which is what we've been built on. And I'm concerned as I go around the country that we're losing ground because of some of the compliance and accountability. So where I try to put my emphasis, and I've looked into around the country, is that the best leaders are really focusing on innovation and results, not compliance. And it's an interesting concept because I also work in the corporate world and in other sectors, and most of the places that are focused on results really make compliance a subset of the results and accountability. So if we switch our mindset to the world of results, we get closer to the world of innovation. Unfortunately, my research is showing that people who are focused on compliance actually end up doing that work, and the innovation falls by the wayside. So what I've done is completed this research, published these books, and then I developed a set of 7 competencies for leaders based on that. So I'm going to review those competencies and give you a little bit of an idea how I got to those. So the first competency, not to surprise anybody, is about challenging the status quo. We have to have leaders that have some courage, because if we're going to move ahead, we can't just play it safe anymore. We're going to fall behind. We're going to be doing all the right things that everybody tells us, but we're not going to provide the education for the 21st century and beyond for students. So we have to have the courage, and we have to challenge assumptions that have been in districts. We have to challenge some of the compliance requirements that we are being pushed to do, not to not do them. I always push that we can do compliance, and that we need to get it done, but we do not always have to get an A in all compliance activities. We can actually get C's, which I know for most educators is a really hard concept to absorb, but we do not have to get A's on all the compliance. And the reason being is we need to free you up to be innovative. If we're spending less time sitting in the office filling out forms and reports, we're spending more time with teachers, with technology, with new ideas, and with partners. So that's the first one, which is really critical. The second one is building trust through clear communications and expectations. What I find in working with districts, again around the country, over 300 of them, and about 1,000 schools, is that trust is still the biggest issue we see. Not many people in political worlds trust each other. We find that with Congress. We find it with different parties that we deal with. There's not a lot of trust. So how do you get trust? I found that through my research that clear communications and making sure people really understand what we're saying, and that we set expectations early. So we can cut down actually on our world of compliance by being clear about outcomes from the beginning. So that's why I talk about switching to a results-oriented world from a compliance world. A results-oriented world starts with the outcomes right from the beginning. And I hear from teachers and principals all over the country that it takes 3 years to change. I don't agree with that at all. I've been in districts where we can move change faster. We can be clear with teachers. They respect that. It's honest. It's open. And they will rise to the occasion. I've seen that. I've worked with unions on those issues. Also, that if everybody is open and honest and clear and they follow through with what they say, we get trust. The third area is a commonly owned plan for success. What I found, and I've even done myself, long strategic plans in school districts and schools that are complex are really not useful anymore. We need 1 to 2 page short plans. I'm doing a new book with Michael Fullen now, and he talks about skinny plans. We need skinny, short plans that people can absorb and talk about and understand, not complex plans. We need to be able to hold them and make them ruffled and work with them. The fourth one is focusing on team over self. If we want students to work in teams, and that's what the work world is looking for, we have to have the adults work in teams. And we have to have them focus on really understanding how to let their egos go, let their roles go, and work with people at all different levels, both inside a district, within their schools, with other communities, and really understand what it means to work in a team where everybody on that team is there to make everybody else better. We don't see that in schools. A lot of times we see a lot of competition and petty issues. If we can rise above that and form those teams, which is hard work, we can get great results. The fifth one is having a high sense of urgency for change, but make it sustainable. What I found through my research is that the top-down leadership of getting urgency does not work. It creates, at best, short-term results, but not sustainable. So we have to build a capacity of leaders in our schools at all different levels to be able to sustain that change. So we can have our urgency for change, but we have to then transfer that urgency to a broad base of people in schools and districts. The sixth one is continuous improvement and getting a culture for that. I always talk about evaluation, which is a big focus in our country. Evaluation has its place, but all the research says that continuous improvement and feedback is what gets results. There is no research that evaluation gets results in any sector. So we want evaluations to change from continuous feedback all the time about what you're doing well, where you can improve. Be open and honest with people about that. They can handle it. They'll appreciate it because it's really there to help them. And then evaluation sessions become goal-setting sessions for the next year. They do not have to be the time that we get people on their performance. We actually want people to look forward to those sessions. And the evaluation still is important because we do need to document. And then the last one, which is probably really most important, but we do not get to in schools and districts, is building external partnerships and relationships. Everybody is focused inside. Our work in education is stay in the classroom, stay in your school. All other leaders in every other sector network out, use social media, are forming partnerships, public and private. We need to do that much more in education. I'm actually working with a district right now where low compliance leaders come in an underperforming urban district, has formed partnerships with the community. A big blow up has happened with the teachers and the teachers union, and now everybody is working together, and they're actually creating change and results immediately because the partnerships have been there, and now the union is actually supporting the efforts because now everybody's working together. So they had to have a challenging of status quo period, but now they can build sustainable change. So these are the areas that I really feel we need to focus on. We should have these as competencies for our hiring, for professional development. I've been using that around the country even to help people in their evaluation processes, because then if we do this, then we're going to be emphasizing results and innovation and creativity and courage, and then the compliance work still can be done, but it's not the effort and the work of the leaders. It should be done through good management skills, good self-management skills, and that's how we get it done. Instead of putting the focus on the accountability and the compliance, we're actually going to get sustainable results. So those are the points that I really wanted to make today that I talked about in the blog, and hope people really enjoy it. And I thank again Tom Vander Ark for inviting me to be part of this.
Yeah, Lyle, thank you very much. Very helpful to hear those competencies. Fits in perfectly with the Smart Cities book theme of setting the stage for innovation and providing supportive ecosystems so that the innovation can happen, and as you described, in a safe and trusting environment. So thank you very much. We appreciate your insights, and we will talk to you again.